Hey everyone, it's Emmanuel,
And I'm Raphael.
and welcome back to the Apple Pub. On this episode of Pub News, we're going to be covering the Apple Watch and the new MacBook.
But before we get into that, let's talk quickly about Apple Pay.
So Currency, which was Apple Pay's competitor in trying to get the mobile transaction market cornered. Yeah, a lot of retailers were going with them, and they had an exclusivity agreement not allowing Best Buy and several others to work with Apple Pay.
Yeah, but it was recently announced that Best Buy will actually picking up Apple Pay, currently only on their online stores, but later this year it's going to be their brick and mortar stores as well. Mm-hmm. And because of this announcement, a day after, just the next day, the CEO of MXC, which made Currency, Deckers Davidson, he was let go. So I'm assuming there was actually some pretty bad news for Currency, and it's like it hasn't even picked up really. They haven't really started, but they're already losing traction.
And for those of you who don't know, Currency is very unsecure. They basically transmit a ton of your personal information to the cloud every time you do a transaction. So Apple's is private, simple, quick, and easy. So
yeah, it's not surprising that they're taking over, and a lot of people are dropping them for Apple Pay.
Yeah, and Best Buy and several others leaving signals that temporary exclusivity agreement is pretty much coming to an end.
Yeah. So moving on to the new MacBook.
There's surprisingly been a high demand for the product.
Yeah, even though the base model has been getting some negative reviews because it's been slow, the upgraded models with the faster chips, CPUs, have been getting pretty positive reviews.
Yeah, and I've seen people who buy the product and they sell it for much more on eBay. We're talking like $500-$600 more.
Markup, yeah.
Yeah, because it's such in demand and it's completely sold out, especially the gold one. So it's surprising.
Yeah, because I thought that was kind of gaudy. I would have gone with the space gray if it was me.
Moving on to the biggest part of the news today,
which would be the Apple Watch.
There's some pretty cool things going on with that. One thing I thought was pretty interesting in the news was that there are jewelers who are gold plating Apple Watches for much cheaper than it would cost to get the solid gold version.
Yeah, the $17,000, $10,000, whatever model. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. It's supposed to look pretty similar. I mean, most people shouldn't be able to tell, but at the same time, it's a huge fraction of the cost. So a lot of people, if you like the gold look but you don't want to pay for solid gold, it's a really good route to take.
Yeah. So some more good news. The Apple Watch's water resistance was actually much better than what was promised.
Yeah, basically they said that you could go out in light rain, maybe get a splash on your hand while washing your hands, but people have been swimming with it for over 15 minutes and submerging it.
Yeah, and although that's great and all, I still wouldn't risk doing that, because if it were to get damaged in that situation, I doubt it would be covered in warranty, because it is only rated to be in rain, even though it can do it. So I guess if you accidentally do fall in the pool or something like that, you don't have to worry, but still, I wouldn't purposely do that all the time.
Yeah, but it seems like you're safe showering with it and things like that. Mm-hmm. But they under-promised and over-delivered. But if you do end up getting screwed,
you're screwed.
Yeah. And moving on to some even more good news about Research Kit, which is going to be available on both the Apple Watch and the iPhone already, actually. And basically, it makes everyone able to contribute some medical data for medical research.
Yeah, originally people were kind of worried about how this was going to be handled. Like, is your information just going to be out there to, shared to the public? But it was announced that, I guess, your information, or the companies that do create these apps, will have to go through a
ethics board for review. So you're always in charge of your data. Obviously, Apple's very good about saying, hey, do you want to share this information with this person? But now the identity, who's getting that information, is more strongly
guarded. It's kind of like the same kind of a board review that you, like a medical profession would have to go through. They can't, give out your information freely and say like, oh, it's from this person.
Yeah. So that's always good. That's good news.
Now, although the response for the Apple Watch has been generally positive, there have been some problems as well.
Yeah, there have been a lot of people coming out and complaining about certain things with their products that you really wouldn't think would be an issue, but
apparently it is. Yeah. What is it? One of the bigger problems was with the Taptic engine. Some of the Apple Watches have been having issues, I guess, with the Taptic engine, and Apple's been having problems replacing them because there is a supply deficit which has caused a bottleneck.
Yeah, the good thing is Apple didn't ship out a bunch of these and they don't have to recall them. Only a few review units had that issue, but it did dampen their attempts to ship out all these products.
Yeah, which is the reason why a lot of the 42mm watches apparently have been pushed back to July shipment dates.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a problem if you've been trying to get one recently. You're gonna have to wait a while.
Which kind of sucks. I mean, like, you have this big product and everyone's excited about it, and it finally starts shipping, but
there's like some problems, which
Exactly.
kind of it happens a lot with a lot of bigger launches. I mean, the Galaxy series, smartphones had a lot of issues like this with their screens. You know, it's not really expected. You hope for it to not happen, but it does happen.
And the bigger issue, in my opinion, I mean, that will sort itself out eventually, but the issue with scratching, especially on the stainless steel version of the watch, people have compared it to the back of the iPod Classic, where it would just easily scratch up, and there's nothing you could. Well, there is something you could do about it, but
apparently, it's. I mean, some people have been complaining. It's like, oh, I accidentally smacked my watch against the rail or something. It's like, I don't care what watch you have. Obviously, you're gonna get scratches that way. But the problem is apparently just like putting your hand in your pocket and pulling it out. It's just been getting like the slight rubs have been leaving like these scratches and lines on the steel.
Very gentle interactions. It still gets marks on it. Now people have said you could get some solution to buffer it, and it fixes the issue. But if you do it,
it's gonna keep coming back.
Yeah, the metal wears out if you keep doing that a lot. But it is a temporary solution.
But there is some good news in that Spigen and some other third-party makers have designed a case for the Apple Watch. Although maybe not the most appealing style looking things, if you are worried about scratching it or getting it damaged, you do have that option.
Yeah, and I'm sure they'll come out with clear ones so you could have your Apple Watch covered and it's not noticeable as much.
Yeah,
but
or some like nicer and fancy looking ones.
I do have to say it kind of sucks that you'd even have to go that far to enjoy the stainless steel one. But, it is what it is. Hopefully things get better.
Yeah, maybe it's an issue. Maybe Apple will, I don't think they do a recall on that, but maybe they'll give some sort of incentive to the people who've had this problem. Because I really hate to have that as an issue. It's like, oh, now you can't return it because, your watch scratched from really, dumb reasons.
Yeah, and there are a couple more things that were still pretty big news.
One of the other big ones was tattoos. People with full sleeve tattoos. If you have your wrist covered, apparently the sensor is not picking up your heartbeat or any of your the sensors aren't just picking up any of your readings, which is an issue because apparently the phone will lock itself when it's not connected to your wrist. So anytime you do have it on, it'll continuously lock itself and ask you to put in your passcode, even though it's on your wrist.
Yeah, and I think that's a big oversight. I know they didn't intend for the watch to read through tattoos, but so technically it's not a problem as far as Apple's concerned because they never designed it with that in mind.
But I feel like that's really it's something you should have looked into. Apparently the sensor doesn't read through the ink or something.
Yeah, and like obviously not everyone has tattoos covering their entire wrist, which is pretty much what you have to have.
Yeah, but I mean if you look at Apple's culture, especially in their stores, I mean you cater to people who are very laid back and like the style. A lot of people do have tattoos nowadays too. It's like you're going for the younger generation. It's like why would it? I mean obviously they weren't aiming to do this. It's just an oversight. Yeah. Maybe there's some kind of technical release or software release they can figure out a way around it.
Yeah, maybe it's just the hardware limitations right now. Maybe it'll be fixed in the future, but for now it is an issue. We thought we'd let you guys know. And the last issue we wanted to mention.
Which was the Apple Watch. Apparently some people have been having problems with it charging. They've been connecting it to their little MagSafe charger, but it has not been charging at all. So if you are one of the users who's having trouble charging their Apple Watch when it's connected, check the article down below for solutions on how to fix that.
And the last piece of news is kind of a mixed bag. So Apple has not allowed developers to make apps that only tell the time. So basically they forbid any watch faces.
Yeah. But they did strongly hint that they would be coming out with new watch faces as well.
Yeah, and Apple's usually like that. In the beginning, they're very tight controlled about what comes out on their platform, and then eventually they open it up. So they did hint at it, like you said, that they're gonna make their own, and developers probably will
eventually be able to later on. Yeah,
exactly. So that's pretty much it. That sums it up. Thanks for watching this episode of Pub News. Is that what it's called?
Okay. Yeah, apparently.
Okay. And thanks for stopping by.
And Shice. Thank you for joining us here on the Apple Pub. One quick question for you guys out there: what beer should we drink on the next episode?
Yeah, it's a very deep question, and we really wanted an answer to it.
Yeah, why not? Anyway, I'm Raphael.
I'm Emmanuel.
And you stay classy, Pubsters.
And thanks for stopping by.
But stay classy.
Okay, stay classy.